In the shadowed corners of history between the well-documented battles and celebrated leaders, there are stories that seem almost impossible, tales that could redefine what we think we know about the birth of the United States. One such story revolves around a man named Samuel Prescott Hawkins, a relatively unknown figure whose decisions in 1777 nearly altered the course of American independence. Hawkins was born in 1745 in the small port town of Salem, Massachusetts, a bustling maritime hub where whispers of revolution intertwined with the salty air. His father was a merchant, and from an early age, Samuel was exposed to both the wealth and the inequality that fueled colonial resentment against British rule. Unlike many of his contemporaries, he was highly educated, fluent in Latin, French, and the rudiments of law, a rarity among middle-class colonial families. But it was his unusual combination of intellect and daring that would soon thrust him into events that even seasoned historians have struggled to explain. By the time he was 25, Hawkins had become a respected surveyor and occasional courier for local militia. However, he was far from being a public figure. Most townspeople knew him as a quiet, meticulous man, one who preferred maps and calculations over speeches and protests. Yet, his analytical mind was precisely what made him indispensable to the revolutionary cause. The conspiracy that almost shattered America. The year was 1777. The Revolutionary War had been raging for 2 years, and the fledgling Continental Army was struggling to maintain momentum. British forces under General William Howe had been advancing steadily, threatening to crush the rebellion before it could gain real traction. Hawkins had recently been recruited for a mission of unprecedented secrecy. The American leadership had intercepted intelligence suggesting that Howe planned to negotiate directly with certain colonial factions, offering autonomy to those willing to betray the revolutionary cause. A single defection among key American leaders could have resulted in the immediate collapse of the revolution. Hawkins's task was deceptively simple: deliver critical intelligence to General George Washington before the British could act on their secret negotiations. But the journey was anything but simple. Hawkins had to traverse over 150 miles of rugged terrain, from the forests of Massachusetts through the treacherous Berkshire Mountains, all while avoiding British patrols, Loyalist spies, and unpredictable weather. Along the way, he encountered numerous obstacles that would have broken a lesser man: washed-out bridges, sudden snowstorms, and even a near-fatal encounter with a band of British Allied mercenaries. The narrow escape at Greenfield won. Particularly harrowing incident occurred near Greenfield, a small settlement that today most Americans would scarcely recognize. Hawkins had arranged a meeting with a contact who possessed vital intelligence about British troop movements. But the meeting was compromised. A Loyalist informant had tipped off British forces, who surrounded the area under cover of darkness. According to surviving letters from the period, Hawkins escaped by a combination of sheer luck and daring improvisation. He reportedly leapt into the icy waters of the Deerfield River, swimming nearly a mile in near-freezing conditions to evade capture. By the time he reached safety, he was frostbitten, exhausted, and on the verge of collapse, yet the intelligence remained secure. This moment, historians suggest, was critical. Had Hawkins failed, the intercepted British correspondence would have fallen into enemy hands, potentially convincing multiple colonial leaders to abandon the revolution. The entire trajectory of American independence could have been reversed. The secret meeting that changed history. Upon reaching General Washington's headquarters near Valley Forge, Hawkins delivered the intelligence, which contained detailed plans of a British attempt to bribe or coerce key members of the Continental Congress. Washington, understanding the gravity of the situation, took immediate action. Using Hawkins' intelligence, Washington orchestrated a counterintelligence operation that foiled the British plan. Several potential traitors were quietly monitored and neutralized, ensuring that loyalty within the ranks remained intact. What is astonishing and almost unbelievable is how little credit Hawkins received. Most records of the era highlight the heroism of generals, soldiers, and politicians, while couriers like Hawkins were relegated to footnotes. Yet, without his courage and ingenuity, the American Revolution might have collapsed before the Declaration of Independence had even been signed. The man behind the legend. Samuel Prescott Hawkins returned to a quiet life after the war. He never sought recognition, preferring the anonymity of surveying and local governance. Letters and diaries.